Welcome to Body by Design. I'm your host, Blue Driver, a women's strength training and metabolism coach. I went from years suffering hormone imbalances, looking soft and bloated, to symptom-free and building muscle for a toned athletic physique. Since then, I've made it my mission to empower women to take control of their own health, hormones and body composition. So grab a cup of coffee and let's build your body by design. Welcome, and this video is around training accessories. So I get a lot of questions around different types of training gear and how they can help your actual training and movements. So I thought I would provide a bit of a video in regards to this. So if you're listening or happen to be listening, make sure you watch the video as well, because I will be demonstrating some as well. The first one I want to start with is shoes for the gym. I'm finding a lot of people with runners. So great training shoes if you're running, doing lots of walking. So I have a training shoe for walking specifically, or just everyday wear. Now, if we have a look, you'll see that compression. You can see it wrinkle along there, which this pattern is actually designed to do. And that's just on the force there. Not to mention that the inner sole is very cushiony, which is fantastic if you're running or you're doing any sort of cardio movements, anything like that, going for a walk. These are actually designed to cushion any impact that happens. So rather than your foot hitting and just absorbing all that shock through your foot, there is a cushioning. And as your foot strikes the ground, you've got this cushioning and your foot moves around dynamically within the shoe, which is fantastic for long walks, running, going for a jog, any of those high impact movements. Amazing. But they're not fit for purpose in a gym. Seriously, I think these shoes are the only good day to be wearing these shoes is on upper day. And even then, I could probably argue that point. But what it means is that particularly for a lot of our lower body movements, we're looking for stability on the ground. Take an RDL, for example. You have your foot on the ground, and when you're pulling back up in the movement, you want to drive your foot through the floor and push up. Now, if you're on a shoe that is full of cushioning, your foot is going to have instability. So the ability to lock in your core and turn on those muscles is now compromised by your foot, which is your platform underneath everything, moving around because you're wearing something that's probably not fit for the job. So running shoes, training shoes are not a recommended shoe for the gym at all. Now, that doesn't mean you have to go and buy an expensive shoe for the gym. You can either kick your shoes off, depending on what your gym is like around, yes, and the ability to do that, or if you're training from home, you can kick your shoes off. If not, get yourself a solid based shoe. And funnily enough, cheap shoes are probably quite good for that because they're not investing the money into cushioning and comfort. They are just a functional for protecting your feet. So you can literally go to your local Kmart, Walmart, wherever you live, and get a van style shoe. They're readily available from your cheaper outlets, and wear those because they're going to have a thin sole. It's not got an increase and there's no cushioning within it. So you're going to have a stable bottom. These are my gym shoes. They are a night shoe, but this is literally an extremely hard sole. And it's not a graded sole either, as in it's not got a great wedge on it. So these are perfect for deadlifting, depending on what squat. Well, a squat. I'll talk about squat shoes specifically in the moment. You don't have to have squat shoes, but you can squat with these deadlift RDLs, anything like that where you need stability on the ground and driving your feet through the floor. Even going on to your leg press, it still gives you firm stability to push into that plate rather than trying to push into the plate as you sink your feet in on those cushioned soles of a trainer, your foot is still going to move around. So that can interfere with your hip stability and your core bracing, and you're not going to get the most out of your movements. And when you start getting really heavy with your training, which if you're here with me, that's what your aim is, to lift as heavy as possible. It's the way you're going to stimulate muscle growth, and we're looking to grow muscle particularly into our 40+ years. So a shoe like this, though it does not have to be an expensive brand name one, like Vans, those sorts of shoes, but obviously you don't need to use those brand name ones. You can literally go to a cheap store and get just a flat soled sturdy shoe, or you can just go barefoot. Another shoe is a squat shoe specifically. Now, these literally hard plastic. There is no flex in them whatsoever. They have this strap across here. So like these are most uncomfortable things, even worse than these. I don't like going on walks with these because they don't really flex as well. If I'm going to go for a short walk, or I just want to, wear a pair of jeans and runners, that's fine. But if I'm doing a lot of walking, I don't wear these because they don't provide the comfort that I need for a walk. A squat shoe literally has even less flex than that. There's a little bit of flex in the toe there. That's all you can see, but like it literally doesn't, that one had flex in it. This one literally doesn't have any flex. Then you have a strap across the top. So one, it tucks in your laces so they don't get in the way or caught on any machines, and you pull that across and it really locks it in so you can get this nice and firm around your foot. So your whole foot inside of here is supported and firm. So when you drive through squat, so when you're coming out of a squat, or if you're doing a leg press and you're driving up through that leg press, your feet aren't going anywhere, and it makes the world of difference. In addition to that, it has the raised edge, so you can literally see the line through there. It has the raised heel, I should say, not edge. It has the raised heel. What that is designed to do is to give you more knee flexion. So imagine this is your knee joint here. A lot of the time we only kind of get to here. And what we actually want to do, so a 90-degree angle, the more knee flexion we can get our calf up to our hamstring. What that's actually doing is pulling down on our quad. It's stretching our quad the more we can close up that gap and get that depth. And with that quad stretched, you will get more stimulus. You'll get a bigger range of motion on particular moves, like particularly a high bar squat, which is more quad focused. That will add the quad focus. Any movements where you see people putting plates up under their heels. The great thing about the squat shoes compared to using a plate under your foot is how flat and stable this is. You think about a plate under your foot, and you're going to have that plate planting into the middle of your foot. It's got an edge on it that you can rock and roll. So if you're getting quite heavy on squats, I don't recommend using plates under your heels because it can be, well, I think it can just be a little bit dangerous. And I mean, I think when, we're trying to protect our backs and keep our form right and keep our brace right, the last thing we need is something digging into our foot, making us want to kind of shift when we're halfway through a squat and we've got that big load on our back, and that shift can just throw things the wrong way. Goblet squats is another one where you'll see people with elevated plates under their shoes. Some lunges where they lift a front foot, you could literally wear your squat shoes for that as well because that lifts that heel. All of it adding to more flexion on the knee, giving more stretch on the quad, therefore more stimulus. So you're going to get more strength and more growth in that muscle. So that's everything to do with, coffee as I go. Now, another really common one, this is one that I highly recommend getting, particularly as you progress with your weights. So we need to learn to breathe and brace. So we take a breath expanding into our ribs, and we lock at the bottom of our ribs and to the top of our rib cage. We don't want to be pushing down into our pelvic floor, and that's where we should lock our brace. The idea of a belt is not to protect your back. Your brace actually strengthens your core, which essentially is protecting your back. But people think that the belt itself is to be wrapped around your back and that just automatically provides you protection, but that's actually not what it's for. It's to give you something to brace down on top of. And as you lock that air in and you can push against, you'll see this is actually quite thick and it's a firm leather. And as you can push in against that, it just means that your brace becomes a lot tighter. I highly recommend the lever belts rather than the buckle belts. Definitely not a Velcro. Don't recommend those at all. But the lever or the buckle is fine. I just find with the lever you can get consistent, tight, firm setting on it. And then as soon as you finished a hard set, bang, you're undone. Whereas with the buckle, you finished a set, you're huffing, you're puffing. The first thing you want to do is get some breath. But with a buckle, you're kind of struggling. You've got to pull in a little bit to get a little bit of room to unbuckle it first. So I just find the lever to be better. So if you have the option, go that, but you can go the buckle as well, but please avoid the Velcro ones. Now I'm actually going to stand up and show you this. So when we do our breathe and brace, you're not going to be able to see my head, but you will see my ribs, which is the purpose of this. So when we do our breathe and brace, we want to see our rib cage expand. And where we want to lock down is at the bottom of that rib cage and into here. We don't want to be pushing down out through here. If you wear a belt, you will bulge at the bottom because the insides get squashed down a bit. But it's actually not you breathing into there. You actually want to lock it here under your diaphragm. So when you have a belt, so you would breathe, and that is literally locked here, and you can see it locking in through my abs. So when you have a belt, you want to put it on, okay, and you want to be able to stick your finger in there. So this is quite firm. I'm actually probably almost due to go out one because I'm doing a build at the moment and I am increasing in measurements. But you want to be able to get your finger in there, but still you want it firm and uncomfortable. But this is the bottom of my rib cage here, okay? We don't want it up high around our rib cage. We want it down here, tucked in underneath our rib cage so that can expand on our brace. And as we expand and push down, we're pushing down onto this belt. So I'll demonstrate that. And that gives me something to push down on and push against in here as well. And that is going to provide a lot of stability in your core, and nearly all your movements require that core stability. Now, where you want to use a belt is where you've got that down force or where you're pulling up. So RDLs, deadlifts, but also where you've got that down force. So a squat, a hack squat, a pendulum squat, anything where you're carrying the weight above and pushing down on you, or anything where you're bent over and pulling up from the ground where you need to keep your back straight. So therefore you need your core locked in, because if you don't, your back is going to bend because your core is not strong. So they're the two places that you would use a belt. Another one that this one isn't necessary, is a nice, and I find lift heavier when I have these knee sleeves. These are actually inside out, and I will demonstrate how to put them on. So this is a knee sleeve, and it just provides some compression and comfort around your knees, particularly in squat movements. A hack squat, I hear people say it a lot, how they feel it in their knees, and having some compression can help alleviate that feeling when we're building strength up in that lower part of our quad and into our knee. It can be great to have these on. So any sort of squat movement, so leg press, barbell back squat, hack squat, any of those, use your sleeves. Now this, it will be smaller at the bottom and wider at the top to accommodate your thigh. And then you have tapering at the back, so that goes behind your knee. So you want the tapering to go behind your knee. So you want it on, ooh, let's move my camera. This is going to be great. So you want it on like that, but I'm putting these on inside out first. This is just a bit of a trick. So I get it to where the smallest part will go, and then I roll them up like that. So they literally get turned in the correct way. Then when I remove them, I turn them, got it, you turn them out, inside out again, and then they're ready to go for next time. So not a must, but they are fantastic where you get lots of knee flexion. They just provide a little more stability, and it's a really nice feel around your knees. And I know that sounds weird when I say it feels nice, but the first time you put these on and you try them, you will know exactly what I mean when I say it feels nice. So not a must-have, but something that's great to have in your gym bag as you progress with weights, or if you really do feel it, particularly in the knees on those squat movements. Not pain, but just that uncomfortable feeling because you're stretching under load. So that's another one. Now we're going to go on to straps for more your upper body movements. So for your push movements, I recommend wrist wraps. There's lots of different kinds out there. I like this style. So it's a long wrap. Let me just make sure I've got the right, they're left-handed and right-handed. Yes, I've got the right one. So these provide stability in your wrist where your wrists are being loaded up with the bar. So think shoulder press, bench press, anything like that, where your wrist has some flexion in it and has a bar bearing down on it. Even dumbbells, I use it for my dumbbell shoulder press. It just helps give stability, particularly with a dumbbell, because the minute you get some kind of rock in there, it's actually really easy to lose stability in the movement from that. So what we do, hook that over your thumb to begin with. Now, I like to wrap them so they're just up over the bottom of my palm there. I do see a lot of people that do it just on the underneath. I just like that little bit extra. So it really does wrap right around that joint, but do it where you feel comfortable. You want it firm, but you don't want to cut off your circulation. I have worn them too tight before and I've compressed the nerve and it felt funny in my thumb for a few weeks. So then you want to bring it over the back of your hand round and you want to put some tension into that elastic, and then you're wrapping that joint. And you wrap it around, oops, do that again. And you're wrapping it around where the joint is, making sure that's nice and firm and securing it with the Velcro. And now you can see that it's a lot harder to bend your wrist, so you're not going to get that pushback. These are even great if you're doing a barbell back squats, because you're like this and you're trying to pull your elbows back and get everything all into line, that this is getting pushed back further and further and actually really can be uncomfortable, and this can help prevent that pushback and just give you some strength in your wrist there. So wrist wraps, they're definitely a recommendation moving forward as you start to get quite heavy on your moves or anytime you feel that pressure on those. So that's wrist wraps. Wrist straps are for our pulling motions. Now, you'll see this here, it's threaded through. This style, when they thread through, you'll see this pointing in. So you want the straps pointing in is how they'll go. There's lots of different styles though. There's also like a wristband style that has a leather flap that comes out and you just tuck that under the bar and hold on to it. Versus grips are the most common known ones, but there's lots of people that have brought them out now. Then there's also just the straps with like a wrist wrap with a strap coming off of it. These are the threaded kind. I'm personally just a fan of these. They do have grip as well, so your hand has some grip on them. This brand, I actually got these from a brand that doesn't sell them anymore, but if you look around, you'll find them. So what we actually want, I've got a broomstick here for my bar. So say we're doing an RDL or a deadlift. I'm going to pop these wrist straps on. So you put them on, and like I said, so those straps have got the V pointing in. See how the way they're threaded, they're pointing in towards my body. And you want to pull them down nice and tight so they become nice and tight around your wrists like this. Then we have a bar, and you want to come to the bar and throw it under and then wrap it round a little bit. And then you literally keep twisting until it's actually firm. And then you do the other side. The other side can sometimes be a bit tricky to get that around. And then you twist. And now when you pull, if I was to let go, because I'm pulling up, but I have some force on here, it's pulling up. It's pulling the bar up. And what it does is it stops your grip strength from being the weakest link, particularly with movements like deadlifts. So your deadlift, you're using your quads, your glutes and your hamstrings. Your glutes are some of the biggest muscles in your body. So you've got some power there and you can lift some heavy weight. You're not going to expect that your grip strength is going to be able to take that all the time. So that's a way to still get sets out where you find your grip starting to fail you, or you're having to reset all the time, like pause and reset, and you lose a lot of momentum because you feel like you need to wriggle that grip in a little bit more. This will help. I also love using them for back movements, and the reason why, making sure that doesn't fall and go crash, and the reason why I love them for back movements is, say, with a row. The best grip you're going to get, or with a lat pull down, is with your thumb wrapped round, and that's the best grip that you're going to get, but it actually engages more of your bicep like that. So with a row, any type of row, or with a lat pull down, if you have your thumb over the top, it disengages your bicep, so then it puts more into your back movement. So if you have, like on a lat pull down, you pop them in under, wrap them over, and then as you're pulling down, it literally helps you pull down, but you can grip the bar like this with your thumb over the top rather than up and around under the bar. Also with any rowing, so a seated machine or a cable machine, I would wrap it in, I'll do the other hand, sorry. So I would hold the handle and it would wrap over and around like that. And again, I'm twisting and then I'm pulling, but I'm pulling with my thumb over the top rather than around here. And it means I'm pulling into the back and disengaging my bicep. So pulling movements, wrist straps are a great idea. Like I said, there's a couple of different styles on the market. People swear by the Versus grip style. I just really prefer these traditional straps. They're quick, they're easy. Though the Versus grips, if they work for you, they're a lot less fiddly to have to flip over the straps and wind them around. So they're a little bit quicker to use as well. So they're the main pieces of kit I have in my gym bag, along with my towel and drink and all that sort of stuff. 2 bonus bits for you. These are just luxury items that I personally use and love. These ones are bare hand. Oh, that's backwards. Doesn't matter. Bare hand. I've got the little pouch for them. Now, if you're a little princess like me and you don't like the calluses, these gloves are amazing. I don't like a big glove on. I find that bulky and annoying. You got to get an absolute perfect fit for them to be any good. Then they get in the way of wrist straps and wraps, so I'm not keen on them. These little things are just fantastic. They're leather on the underneath, a really soft leather, and they're like a stretchy, breathable lycra on the top, so your hands don't get hot and sweaty in them, but they literally just do the callus part on your hands. So you pull them on and it covers the callus part. So it helps with grip from slip, not as in strength. And because they have this kind of like lycra style top, they're actually quite firm fitting, but you can move. You can see my knuckle stretch through there. So they stay on your hand quite firmly fitted. They're fantastic. I love them. I literally put them on, even like when you're doing leg extensions or a leg press and you're using the handles to pull yourself in, it just helps stop that pull on the palm of your hand, as well as just gives you that little bit of extra grip. So if your hands start to get sweaty or anything like that, it just prevents that and you've got a better grip. So I pretty much put them on as soon as I get into the gym. They stay on and they come off last thing. I love them. Not a necessity. Like I said, it's just a little item that I really like in my gym bag. And the other one, again, not a necessity because you can prop your phone up against a water bottle. You can take a whole tripod, but this is a magnetic. So this is a magnet, and this is for a mag hold for like an iPhone, or if you've got a mag hold phone, but it's basically like a little tripod. So that magnetically goes on, and this magnet here is nice and strong, and it can connect to any equipment around you, and it literally moves 360 degrees. So you've got great range of movement there. Now I have an Android phone, but I have the MagSafe case that it clips onto. This would also suit an iPhone, but there is another version of this where it's a double header of this, and what comes with it is a metal plate with a sticky back, which is what I originally started with, and you just put the sticky back on your phone, and it's a double head like that, and you clip it on. Works just as well, so you don't have to have MagSafe. I got that from Savage. I think there are a few other companies that do it. Savage, if you use Lu10, you will get a discount as well. But it's a very discreet way to film your lifts because, like you know, filming your lifts, you'll always get better feedback when you look back on your lifts. Sometimes you think and feel like you're doing something and you go, yeah, I got really deep on that. And then you look back in your recording and go, I've actually got more to go. That didn't feel the way it actually looks. The amount of times I have clients that send me videos and go, I swore I was doing what you had said for me to try and do, but clearly I wasn't on that video. So it's really, really good that even if you don't have a coach giving you feedback, you should always film your lifts and look back. Not every lift, every session. I always film at least my main lift and review it or send it in for feedback. And then I just choose one or two accessories, movements for the day, and I rotate them round. So you don't have to film everything, but definitely getting one or two videos per session. And it's a great way to do it. And also, if you just don't want to throw your phone on the ground, you can just stick it on the piece of equipment and it's safe and sound for you. So that's another little bonus item of what I have in my gym bag. So I hope you find all that info around the different accessories that you can be using to improve your lifting. If you've got any other questions, you can always sing out to me if you are a client in our client app. Otherwise, I am on Instagram and you can catch me there at strengthtraining.nutritionist and just shoot me a DM.